Hello everyone. This video is a recording of a dive I did on a coral reef called the Flower Garden Banks, which is a natural occurring reef about 120 miles off of the coast of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico. I was aboard the MV Fling for a 3-day trip over Memorial Day weekend, and this is the second dive that I did of 10 that trip. Here I am aboard the Fling, getting ready to jump into the water. And so begins the second dive of the day for me. At this same location at the West Flower Garden Banks, a little later in the day, on some very crystal clear, beautiful weather in the Gulf. You can see it's around 11 o'clock, as you just saw right there. There's my buddy Ken, signaling he's good to go down. So where are we? You can see on the map up here that we're in the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the Flower Garden Sanctuary shown there. And we left Freeport, Texas the previous night. We just zoom in and take a look. We can actually see her docked in the overhead view. There she is, right there. And so we boarded her around 7 o'clock the previous night and travelled overnight the 120 miles or so that you can see there to the Flower Garden Banks, arriving about 6 a.m. First dive was about 8 a.m. This being the second dive on the same spot. And so here we are, pretty much at the bottom. We've sunk down to around 80 feet, I think it is, down there. That all down there is a whole lot of coral. Around 3.7 square miles, I believe, and this particular area. Going from, there's Ken, yeah, he's good. There's my buddy, also in a dry suit like myself, because it was a little cool on this dive. It was early May, and so the surface temperature, there we go, 64, and still sinking at this point. I'm just coming down to the bottom. So it's about 78 degrees at the surface there, and it was about 75 here at the bottom, where there were thousands of fish, as you can see. It's deep, the colours are a little muted. I have bumped the reds a little bit, but it gets better when you see me. I'll put my flashlight on right there on my wrist mount. Big blue VL 4200p, in case anyone is interested. 4200 lumens of LED flashlight that I find really lights up the close-up detail. You can see it lighting up the fish close up there, and you can see that brain coral in all its beauty. Green coral there, star coral as well. Right there. So much coral on this particular reef. So much of it. All looks so healthy. It's just a beautiful sight to see. So this dive, counting my second, around 41 minutes. We hit maximum depth a little bit later, around 111 feet. Just enjoying some of the local wildlife swimming in amongst the reef right there. I recognize a few of the fish. I'll call them out when I see them. We'd had a couple of hours of surface interval after our first dive at this point to rest, and a large and delicious breakfast. Scrambled eggs and sausage, I think, laid on by the folks on the MV Fling, which is the ship you saw me jump off just a moment ago. And that orange line to the left there, temporarily tied off by the dive master, Erin, who you saw guide me off at the beginning of the video, and you might have noticed he commented he recognized my videos from this exact same location in the previous year. In 2022, I'd been here in August for a 4-day trip later in the year, and a 2-day trip earlier in the year. These videos are also on my channel. So this is my 3rd visit to this same spot, and it definitely never gets old. A little cooler this time, like I say. It was in the 80s later in the year last year. It will be again, I'm sure. Just trying to get as close as I can to admire this gorgeous coral. I find it so beautiful, so I like to cruise as close as I can. Not allowed to touch. The coral is very, very delicate, so we take great care not to come too close to the coral and the wildlife down here, but close enough so that we can capture the scene, as it were. As I was saying, so this orange line there was laid by Erin when we moored up at around 6 AM on this day. Second dive of 5 dives we did on this day, the first day of a 3-day trip. So first dive in at the water at 8 PM, and we did a night dive at a different reef on this day, getting out of the water at 10:30 PM. So this is a very, very busy day. 5 dives, each around 45 minutes. So we got to see a lot. And again, 2 on this particular reef. This one being later in the day, much brighter, closer to noon, so much easier to see the detail and the colours of all the wildlife on this dive than the first. And Goal, my buddy Ken and I, he's behind me and just above me, as always. That's where he likes to hang out, while I get as close as I can safely to the wildlife and the coral below, is to follow that line. It's placed there by the DM to help us give something to navigate. Look at all those fish. It was so beautiful down there. I think it comes out. Recorded this using a GoPro 11 in 4K at 60 frames a second, so to enjoy the best of this one, pop it on your TV. So yes, Ken and I are basically just following that orange line as a form of guide. Very easy to get lost on this reef. It all looks the same, effectively, without the help of that line. So it's and even though the water, we had 100-foot visibility or so, very, very clear water. Still easy to lose the buoy where we moored up quite quickly, and so that line there is crucial. More beautiful coral. A lot of life hiding in amongst the coral here. So we're going to follow that line, generally crisscrossing it, keeping it loosely in view to the end of the reel, laid by Erin, our dive master, for us earlier in the morning. And then circle about. That's where we hit our maximum depth of 110 feet, which is also the maximum depth that I could go on the air mix I was on nitrox for this entire trip. This particular one, 32%. Nitrox being a gas mix of regular air, which is 21% oxygen with extra oxygen added. So my gas mix on this dive was 32%, a bit more than the 21% that's for normal. And that helps extend my dives safely, and it's also less tiring. Queen Parrotfish, I think they left. Started off with 3,000 psi and ended with a little under 1,000, including a 3-minute safety stop towards the end, which we won't include in the dive here. as you may have noticed from my selfie at the beginning of the dive, I was wearing a dry suit for this this whole trip. In fact, the temperature being a consistent 75 in this section of the reef. And there's another Queen Parrotfish, close enough to admire. But there were so many, maybe 24 species of fish, some of which I recognise, but so many that I'm still learning. Those little ones, yeah, I don't know what those are. If you see fish that you recognise, please put them in the comments. That would help all of us. But here I was just admiring just how many fish there were living in this reef. It's amazing that it's been here for thousands of years, and this reef has been growing here, and all this life living here. Also healthy and well. It's just lovely. I just love this spot. Around 30 divers on this particular trip. The maximum MV Fling holds, pretty much. It's a full boat. We were in bunks on the overnight, previous, so like camping at sea. 3 bathrooms between the 30 of us, one of which had a shower, and the other 3 had. Then the other 3 were just toilets and sinks. There is an ocean triggerfish that I was able to get close. In fact, there are several of them I noticed hanging out here. So many fish. Found the triggerfish particularly pretty, so closed in for a closer look. See how close they'd let me get. 93 feet deep. Quick check on the computer there, which is a Suunto D5, which, in case anyone's interested, computer I've had for a few years now. Got over 100 dives on this computer, my 3rd computer. I like it. It's simple, easy to use, doesn't have too many features, easy to read. Battery life is moderate. It lasted the entire day, just about. So starting at 8 a.m. and my last dive out of the water at around 10:30 p.m. it was pretty much dead. But it made it. It lasted the dive, and then I needed to recharge it. So just enough for 1 full day's diving. Of course, have a backup. One of the reasons I like the Suunto is that they make the same computer in a different form factor, which is I have a Cobra 3, which is a hose-mounted computer. So it like my wrist-mounted computer is air integrated, so I know how much air I have left on my wrist there from a sensor plugged into the first stage behind my head, which monitors my air, gives me the current air pressure of the cylinder at all times, connects via Bluetooth to the watch. And my second computer backup, the Cobra 3, hose mounted, so physical hose. There we go, so 2100 psi left as well out of the 3000 or so that I started, so about a third gone at this point, and 100 feet deep. My maximum depth was 111 on the Nitrox 32 that I had. So you can see this drops down from left to right, gets down pretty deep, deeper than I can safely go on the right there. I think overall the depth keeps on going down to around 500 feet in this area of the ocean, at the edges of the coral reef here. So my buddy Ken was floating behind me. I would check on him periodically. He can keep an eye on me from behind and above. We would compare air signals, and a beautiful shoulder fish caught my eye at this point. Cruising in to have a look. At this point, because I was looking at them, that's when I hit my maximum depth. My computer beeped to warn me that my maximum safe depth of 111 on the gas mix. It varies the more oxygen you have in the mix, the shallower you can safely go. Computer figures it out. And so at this point I ascended away from my maximum depth, safe maximum depth, and really started beginning meandering back, looking for the end of the orange reel that the dive master had placed for us, and with the intent to gradually follow it back to where we knew the boat was moored. As you can see, I shine my light on the coral there. It brings out all of the colour that the depth of the water tends to remove. So this is the edge of a hill. You can see we're floating up it. It's going relatively steep. Easy to see how steep it is here. But all the way from 110 feet to 70 or so, 30-foot drop. We are slowly ascending back up again. Like I was saying, we'd had a wonderful breakfast at this point, having completed our first dive at 45 minutes or so, and then we came back on board to be welcomed by a huge hot spread of breakfast. Oh, look at how beautiful that coral is. It's a brain coral. A couple of fellow divers up ahead, out to the 30. Big reef. Everyone was down at this point, pretty much. We all jumped in, most within 10 minutes of one another. Oh, and this was a camera change at this point. My GoPro 11 will overheat after 20 minutes of continuous use. And so I took both a GoPro 11 and a GoPro 10 down with me in my dry suit. And when started with the 11, and when that overheated, even though it was 75 degrees in the case, it would overheat at the settings I had for it with continuous use, 60 frames a second, UHD resolution, automatic image stabilization. And so when it got too warm, I would just put out the second camera and continue videoing. Only problem because I'm videoing continuously, of course. Back up to 80 feet, 1800 psi out of my 1000 there. Plenty of time left. You can't see it here because I held the camera pointed forward, but occasionally I'm looking back at my buddy Ken and asking him to signal his air as well and keep me abreast. 1000 psi was the indicator for when we'd needed to be close to the buoy at that point, and we need to head up shortly after that, whichever of us hit that first. Beautiful scrawled filefish that let me get close enough to admire them there. followed him for a little bit. He looked at me warily. He's actually having a bite to eat. He's chewing away at some of the coral there. See in the video, but there were just thousands of little fish as well as the larger ones, all swimming in and out of all of the coral here, with different types of coral sharing the same rocks and evidently battling out supremacy for the rock. You could see in some cases where two corals had met on the rock and were fighting for supremacy of it. A battle that I expect has been going on for thousands of years. Just an amazing thing to see. Beautiful spectacle to admire. A nice close-up there. If I can really see the colours come out of some of the corals. Again, not allowed to touch any of these corals, so I was being very careful with my buoyancy to stay just above everything, not touch it or tap it with my fin. There's Ken, just checking on him. He's in his usual spot behind me, enjoying the view from up there. Too, he's in a dry suit because of the cooler waters. I have dived in a wetsuit on my previous visits when the water was warmer, but 75, particularly for 45 minutes. It gets pretty cold. Definitely need a wetsuit in this. A 5mm actually would be good if I were going to wear a wetsuit, and many did on the boat. 5mm I think would be comfortable. A full wetsuit down to the arms and wrists and head. Dry suit is even more comfortable, sealed at the legs and wrists, so closed in feet, included the booties, so dry feet, and sealed at the wrists and the neck. I did bring dry suit gloves with me on this trip, which I tried on the first dive, but found I didn't really need them. On this dive, I didn't wear my dry gloves and instead wore thin wetsuit gloves, brand of lava core, which are 3mm neoprene equivalent. Very thin, very comfortable, easy to wear gloves. More beautiful coral. I think that's a star coral. I just found it fascinating, just admiring the beauty of these corals. You can see how growing over that rock over the millennia. The formation these have formed on, incidentally, is called a salt dome, an area of salt under which hydrocarbons have formed and pushed up the salt to form a dome of several square miles, which then lifted from the seafloor, which was 500 feet or so around, to get close enough to the sun to have these corals form on it, enough light for the corals to form, and attracted lots of all the fish and life that likes to hide among it. Okay, we're back at the buoy here, which is permanently moored. There's no anchoring allowed here in this particular part of the reef, so that, as you can see, is permanently moored into the concrete, and a buoy permanently there, which is where MV Fling moored off at. A handy guide for us if we wished it. If the current was strong to come down, we didn't use it coming down, but it is convenient to follow when coming back up. So at this point, we're just circling slowly around that point, just enjoying the life and the corals around it until we get to our 1000 psi or so mark, at which point call it a dive. mentioned I wore lava core gloves. Oh, another Queen Parrotfish. She scooted off. Perhaps that's because she's noticed that, or he, that you haven't subscribed yet. So click the icon on the right and subscribe. Thank you. Yeah, I mentioned my lava core gloves on this particular one. Underneath my dry suit, in case anyone's interested, I wore waterproof. The brand is waterproof, same as my dry suit. Body X is the name of the undergarments I wore under my dry suit, which are thin thermal underwear like top and bottoms. Relatively close fitting, stretchy, hollow fibres. So nice and warm, but not too warm. I mean, don't get too hot. Don't need the bulk. So I had very little bulk under this suit, which is a trilaminate, the dry suit that I have on. This is my third dry suit, but my first time in the ocean with it. I only bought this earlier this year, so I'm still getting used to it. Got a number of dives on it now and lakes to get used to it. But this is my first ocean trip in this particular dry suit. Trilaminate, also by Waterproof, that's the brand. And very, very comfortable, actually. Yep, did not leak. Well, it leaked once when I jumped in, having not completely closed my zipper at the back. Oops, somebody hiding under there. So, my fault. Quickly pulled that shut. So I got a bit of a wet arm on one of my later dives on the second day, I think it was. But yeah, no leaks from wrists or neck. And lovely and comfy and warm and dry at the end of each dive, which was a very nice way to end each dive. Just unzip it, snap it up, hang it up to for the outside to dry, and then head on inside for some food and a nap. 5 times on this first day, which was a very, very nice way to get through all those 5 dives. There's Ken once again, just checking on him. He's good. That's what that means. He's checking his air for me again. He's down to 1,000 psi, so that means all right. We haven't got that much longer on this dive then, before we head on up. Meanwhile, just spend a few more minutes enjoying the fish and the reef. The last time will be on this reef, on this trip, until the next time I come out to, which as it happens is later this year, for a 2-day trip. In August, so it'll be warmer, so I won't need my dry suit for that. Although I could wear it, and I'm tempted to, just with a rash guard underneath it. It was very, very nice. It's very comfy. I like my dry suit. I like it very much. I like being dry, and that trilaminate is very flexible and comfy. Didn't feel restrictive. 73 feet deep, 1400 psi, so about half my tank left. We'll go on whichever of Ken or I's is lowest, so Ken got low first. And so we'll go up shortly. Last look around, just enjoying the beauty at this point. Sun was coming down, you can see how clear the water is. 100 feet visibility, very clear water. An absolutely lovely dive at this point, a second one on this reef. Asking Ken, what do you think? Start heading up. He's like, yeah, maybe. We have we're 80 feet deep, but we have a 3-minute safety stop to do, which we'll do mid-water between 10 and 20 feet on the way up. So we need enough air for that. Those 3 minutes. And then we want to come up. Ideally 700 psi or so. And then tanks get refilled after we doff our suits and go in for more food and another nap. Our tanks are refilled for us in place. Time for a quick selfie. Just got time for one of those. See my suit being very comfy. Ken noticed he's behind me. Perhaps see how comfy my suit was. It was very, very comfy. I'm very happy with the suit. It was great. Very, very comfortable diving. I have 5 more wetsuits, and I have a full lava core. I have a shorty by Mares, and so forth. Cool waters. My dress is my favourite diving apparel, just because I'm so warm when I come back up. I hate that first cold rush when you jump in, even when it's 82, it's still much cooler than body temperature, so it feels cool when you first jump in, and then cool when you first come out. Not so with the dress. Checking with Ken. Other divers coming in as well. Buddy pair to ascend the rope for their safety stop and then climb aboard. We'll climb aboard about a ladder at the back of the Fling. Last admire coral. Before let's give the signal to heading up. Over to the rope and up we go. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.